Recognition of the sequence, high center line position locations, and measure. High lines, high interference. The reason why I'm starting class and set location is because my computer is at line position infinity. Infinity line interference location is 1-1 setting. All right. And calculation location is in 2-line interference. Direct signals locations comes into 6 through 8. And that's where we're coming into our calculation line interference and infinity position locations. 6 line calculations of 8 line setting. Okay. 6 positions of the moon and 8 position infinity cycle. Okay. Usually I start class at 10, but because we're coming into higher calculation setting, we're 9 settings into 1-line rotations. Everybody that comes in, I use your line graph lines. I use your electrical line interference. I use your platoon calculation settings. I use the program set location to its computer adaptation surface. I use allocate line calculations to avatar of its matrix location setting. That's higher level calculations into its vortex stream. I use the position location to set lines and calculations. Now we're coming into 10 setting. So anybody that comes on comes into different frames of position locations into levels of waves, central waves, calculation, high settings, electrical lights, electrical line interference, in-track location. All right. So there's a lot of things that adapt its system, locational levels. Mind through travel is mostly understanding its intelligence on the other side. The Senate communication system is now in phenomenal line settings of 3-3, double helix. So everything you see through perception now is intelligence of its form, intelligence of a phone, intelligence of its computer, intelligence of its wall. It's no longer a wall. You don't see it as a wall. You see intelligence of a wall. Okay? So everything's changed now. Number sequence locations comes from 60 to 70. Anything above that, you go into theta. Everything from 60 to 65 to 70 is position of the moon, the operation system to its position line connection line system. Yesterday, line center, we put all seasons, okay, into weather line setting. Your 12 DNA graph lines in position locations to your 24 line settings into 12 million sets into 24 million sets is now in sig locations to its moon setting to its operation surface. The set communication system is line calculating to all levels of the moon, how it operates its setting to know exactly what you're doing is through provision locations. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You start recognizing more lines of memory in your thought location. The more you release, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the more you get into cycle interference. Cycle interference is trying to stand the infinity setting. Now we're in 6 lines into the moon into a half pipe, setting position location to its infinity 8. Okay, the rotation center line interference is at geometry location. 3 center calculations, 3, 6, 7, 8 line, position 9. So you have to learn how to use all levels of your hand formation line calculation setting and rotation surface and set location. Okay, so we all have to learn how to use the memory line calculations to our fingers. Direction line calculation system. Spot checkers, line streams, 2 line settings, 3 line rotations. Console calculation, recognition time setting. Console calculation, recognition time center. Recognition calculation, recognition time surface. All set location is your moon. 2 line settings, thumbs up. 1 recognition line calculation line interference, right? So in 1 position locations, 1 plus 1 equals line communication of 3, right? Setting position location line connections. Now that 1 is now in thumbs up, but that 1 is its intelligence of its 1. It's not a number of a 1. It's intelligence of its formation of all calculations of its setting, which is its all timeline sequence. So once you start to see the perceptions to all calculations, everything is a formation on the other side now of its intelligence. These are intelligence of glasses. It's not just glasses. This is intelligence of a hat. This is intelligence of a shirt. This is intelligence of my watch. Okay? It's no longer what it is. It's not a watch. It's intelligence of its watch. So to understand the identification is to understand the face recognition setting. Identification is everything. Okay? So because it's an intelligence, because it's now on its other side, because it's understanding your reality and its own reality, you come together into one setting, which is an intelligence of its form that comes into a correlation panel. Now that correlation panel opens all set locations to its set location settings. This opens all calculation setting, how you set your locations to your tones, rhythm patterns, line direction in set location setting. You have to learn how to use it through formulas of equation, through your mindset position. Okay? All right. It's great to see everybody. We got a lot going on today. So I wanted to start early because my computer is in set lines of infinity. Right? And I want a full wave line set line condition Wi-Fi set locations. All right. All right. So getting into platitude division line setting is direct location of 6. 6 location high interference. Setting direct locations into 1, 2, 3. Bracket locations into 3 sets. Equal line conditions into 3 0 sets again. And 3 set locations to 3 set location. Okay. Now, it gets more complicated because the 6th line comes into a half pipe. Half line setting. Equal locations of pi. Line conditions of box. Line condition high setting. This is where it comes into all calculations in set line setting into 6 lines into S line rotation in position of box location and triangulation, and 3 set location and setting. Okay, now coming into line calculation into all set locations, high system locations, atomic setting line interference, atomic line setting line position of circle line rotation interference, line calculation system, back and track interference. Okay, now this is where it comes in all calculations to helium. Helium sets lines in communication line interference infinity cycles. So we have infinity 8 rotation and set location. Okay. Now that infinity 8 line interference line position locations comes into 2 measures into 2 bracket location settings. Recognition line calculation system. Now this puts a halt set line calculation system. Halt is line conditions to pause. Pause line rotation. PAUSE. Now, this comes into a pulse, into unification, to its unified line setting, into systematic line condition, its energy line, into a new paired line rotation, in direct location to its UFO set location, top signal. Rotation surface, line setting, line calculation, line position locations. This opens all calculation settings. So we take the 6 lines into 3, and 3 into 3 is set location. Recognition line calculation system comes in line calculation system. 6 goes on top. It's a line connection line system. Now 3 plus 3 is line center location of 6, right? 6 line connection system. But you add the position of square root in set locations at the top. See? At the top. Setting line communications, right? 3 over 3, line positions, all set locations, all right? So 3 plus 3 is 6, add line interference, plus lines of 2 in set location, brings it into 8 setting, 68, all right? Setting ground lines and 6 lines, equal line conditions of 8. So 68 sets line communication system on top of its pyramid set location. Right? Done through equation. All right. So that's a formula set line. Through 6 lines to an 8 to set locations. All right. Now, one in position locations, 1 line setting, 1 measure, 1 calculation, 1 string. 1 calculation, 1 measure, 1 string, 1, 1, 1. Now, again, we have to use the 1, 1, 1 in position locations into 1, 1, 2, in position locations into 1, 1, 3, in position locations into 1, 1, 4, in position locations to 1, 1, 5, and 1 position location of 1, 1, 6 in set locations. Right? 6 line comes into 6 line interference. So we take the line communication of 3 sets. In line communication, 6 equals 3 line interference of 2, 2 lines in locations of 5, 5 line conditions of 7, 7 line condition system, 12 in set lines of DNA track line communication, setting rotation surface in set location. All right. So measure count, line calculations, triangulation line interference, 1 position location of 2 set line setting, recognition line calculation system into half pi set locations. Recognition line calculation is 6 position of half moon and 3 set line calculation strings in set location. Done by equation, right? But it's amazing how you set these things up. right? Through 111, 112, 113, 114. Setting calculation line settings now to 115. One line setting, one rotation, 5 in balanced line signal. 116. You take the 6th line, equal lines of 3, equal lines of 2, in position of 5. 5 equals lines of 7. 7 comes into 12, setting direct line signals into your DNA track, into interference position locations, into 3 cycles at set locations in your moon setting operation through pi recognition time of set locations. Done by equation. All right. See the time sequence, right? That's timeline setting. That's time sector line position location of pi, all through set location at 68. All right, so setting calculation line stream is recognizing time. Now, so where it comes to timeline locations into box position of triangle line condition, all levels, UFO line rotations, and position location, high setting. All right, recognition line conditions, all levels. Setting position location of triangle in position of box position location Fibonacci line condition, 3 weather pattern communication system, sun in communication line setting. This is where we come in here, hieroglyphical line position location line condition, line travels line position location, high setting. Okay, directional line calculations, mountains, and sun line calculations and rotations, 3 set location. High setting calculations, UFO line rotation, UFO line rotation, UFO line rotation, and set line position. Okay, direction line calculations, center calculations, and center calculations. That's 3 wave sets. 1 in position, 2 in position, and 3 set locations. All right? Now, understanding what I'm doing through here, political location, is aerodynamic settings. Cryokinetics, line calculating line interference, teleportation lines, equal line calculation of box through triangle line position locations into high setting. Mechanism line calculations, travels and line conditions of 1, 2, and 3, and measure and correlation system into sun of operation setting rotation. Surface location setting. Recognition line calculation into the moon set position. Center calculation line interference. Now, the weather pattern communication system is 12 DNA track lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 is set up position, right? Center calculation, right? Now, the hieroglyphic line rotation interference. Now, the infinity cycle sets line communication system, overriding signals and set locations in higher setting. See the infinity? Okay, so setting that in track line communication system, we open the patterns, the reference location of time setting, high center interference, into all position locations. All right, changing coloration and set position. Okay, disposition line connections travels, direction of time setting, high interference, and position locations. And when you get in calculation stream, it recognizes its pattern, the high center locations, to its travels. Okay. Once you understand the recognition line setting, it opens all levels of an infinity cycle and set location. Now, the infinity is going to go through 9 setting. 9 setting line interference and locations into high center location equals pi. Pi is a force line setting. 9 rotation surface, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 set locations. Now, line calculation, colossal line, recognition line calculation system, echo chamber line rotation interference, and track location system. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, setting calculation to infinity is line calculation system. So we take the 1 line, the 2 line, and the 3 line as set locations. 1, 2, 3. See? Setting calculations into 1, 2, 3. Setting calculation line interference again, plus line calculation system. 3 plus 3, line condition of 6. Add position of square roots in set location setting. Top line signal. See it? That comes into line calculation line interference of 6 position locations into line calculations of 8 line setting in position location, higher calculations into its moon set into 3 set location settings. Down by equation. All right. Now, understanding 6 lines to the moon is the operation to its infinity. So infinity line rotation, 1 position, and position of 2 position and 3. So that's 2 line setting. Rotation surface, and 2 set locations. 1 and 2 set location setting. Recognition line calculation is 1 in line conditions equal line in position of pi in set locations into sector, equal lines and vector line position locations into measure and calculation of metric. Setting line calculation system into 1 setting into 2 set location setting. Rotation surface, we come into 3 set location of triangulation. Comes into line calculation, another line condition, infinity. Setting line communications, line setting, line position location to high setting. Directional line calculations into a 4-way setting. In line conditions in position of 3-way setting in high setting locations. And crossing signal to all levels of a 6-line communication rotation surface in set location, another set location setting. Recognition line calculation system puts infinity line interference of 8 line position locations, crossing signals to another 8 line rotation interference, setting position of 2 bracket line calculation system, space and calculation line interference of 9999, image location line condition of 9999, setting calculations, bracket and line position, bracket line interference, line calculation system, puts every line calculation setting, line interference locations, in sector location of 0, 1, it's like high line communication, high center location of 0, 1 line position location of space and time certification attractions. Done by equation. All right. Now, this is all about understanding how to set up the 6 lines of 8 line interference in your moonline rotations, moon sets location. All right.
Okay, I found.
Okay, recognition timelines, high center interference, high position locations in one setting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 at top location. Right? 8 circles its line setting, comes into the center operation of its moon setting. Setting line communication into all position of 6 line calculations into 1 line in Fibonacci line rotation in center communication setting. Rotates its surface in set location to another dimensional line rotations. So we take the 6th line into negative or positive sets of 3. 3 lines of positive over negative sets another 3 set locations. That's 3 line setting into another set locations into 2 set location settings and travel location. Putting position location high setting, all levels of calculations and higher calculation of its dimensional line rotation into 3 sets of double helix location. Now, the double helix is line calculating line interference. We take the 8 line center and an 8 line rotation into all levels. 6 line position of 8 position location of 6, 6 lines, 8 locations of 4, 4 line centers of 3, 3 sets lines of 2, position location of 1, into line communication into 0 line, equal lines of 7, equal lines of 5, equal lines calculated of 12, into DNA track, inside location high setting, indirect location. Done by equation. All right, so when you get into weather patterns, the recognition of the season lines is in graph line rotation, one block setting, okay, into another set locations, all right? Setting direct locations and signals in high setting, okay? Measuring correlation line interference, Fibonacci swirl, setting position of 3, setting position of 3. Setting 3 line setting in set locations into its triangulation set line conditions. Travel position location downshift line conditions. There's a timestamp. Timestamps rotation surface and location to a vortex line setting. That opens all signal line interference. Setting position location high setting. Now the record location set line is now in position locations into 24 and line condition goes up 48. Now the Z line force comes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 line calculation. The UFO comes in, line communication, scans the center line setting, rotation surface, rotates its line conditions of pi, recognition of time setting, opens up another Fibonacci line swirl into a double helix rotation, setting direct location, higher levels at travel position locations into a galaxy shift line and rotation surface and 2 line settings. 2 line setting line interference, in position location to its atom line rotation surface and set locations. Done by equation. All right. How are we doing through high signal line communication setting? All right. Let's see here. Team travels line set rotations, interline rotation calculations, streamlines. Okay, 6 and 8 lines measure, setting direct signals, okay, into block surface. All right. Okay, max calculations, all levels. Geneva line rotation interference, Trinity, Captain, Heather, line set location, Tina, team line position location line system. All levels, the high setting, recognition of timelines, time string, all set locations into set position. Chris, all level high setting into energy lines, vortex line position locations, set codes, recognition of timelines, pyramid line rotation, setting line interference. Directing signals in set locations, setting all levels. Let's get in position locations. High center calculations of Joni, line calculations, all levels of Hendel, line rotation interference, all calculations of Laura, high position locations into setting, high line calculation. Let's get in that rotation interference, Michaela. Setting direct line signals in set location. All right. So getting in line communication, we come into a UFO line settings into 3 set locations. Okay. 1 set calculation, 2 set line settings, and 3 in rotation. Nice scanning line setting. 0, 0, 0. 0 line rotation, 0 operation, and 0 in circle locations. Okay. Setting new 0 ground lines into 0 line. 0, 0, 2, 0, 0. So that's 2 over line, 2 over line rotation interference. Recognition line calculation into another 0 line rotations into a power recognition line calculation to solar stream into pi. Pi position locations comes into a clock line in position of 3 sets and another 3 set line condition, another 3 set line conditions, and another 3 set line conditions. Triangulation, triangulation set locations. Setting calculation line interference, circle line rotation interference, and position locations into high setting. 1, 2, 3 in set locations to a T reception line screen. Setting calculation line interference into all position of orbits in set location high setting. Space Odyssey line rotation surface in set locations. Recognition timelines and time stream line set location is 0, 0 2 line setting, 0, 0 2 line rotation, 0, 0 line rotation interference, and 0, 0 calculation line calculation system. All calculate and modify how to use the calculation line calculation system into 6 lines of 8 line rotation interference. 6 equals 8 in line rotation interference into infinity in line rotation to a new set position location, higher sound calculation system, into a double helix and rotation surface in position locations, into 4 galaxies and set lines of calculation system of 1, 1 in position locations, into 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, and 1, 1, 4, and 1, 1, 5, and 1, 1, 6, and 1, 1, 7, and 1, 1, 8 in infinity line, rotation line, position location, and all set location line conditions into all timeline sequence into all one calculation. Done by equation. It's all set up. All right. So understanding the lines of 6 is understanding the equations of 8. The recognition location of 6 lines is its half pipe, right? That's 6 lines of each one, right? 6 lines of 6 in line connection, high setting. Triangulation of 3 set location. All levels in scan line rotation into surface location of 0 line. Now, setting position location to the sun comes in position locations, always in high setting because it's getting into the all calculation system. So boxing frequency in 2 line setting and rotation surface in set locations. Directional line calculations of 6 and line conditions, another 6 line conditions to its own pi of recognition. Setting calculation line interference is 8 over 6 line condition high setting into 9. 9 position location of 6, back force line center of 6, line position location of 7, 7 position of 8, 9 position of 9, 10, 11, 12, line position of 13, higher self, line position location, forcing correlation line rotation interference of high position of metric streamline calculation, scales, line calculation, line setting, line interference, 2 line rotation, 3 set locations, 2, line position of 3, line position of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 finger line rotation into 1 moon, operation to 1 sun calculation setting, rotations of 2 and 3 set locations, line position of 4, 5 line setting, 5 line rotation, 4 line calculation, streamline set line calculation, stream position, 5 calculation line settings, setting calculations to its infinity of all lines of all communications into its position locations into high levels of travel calculation setting and rotation surface. Done by equation. Okay, so high setting location is now in 6 lines into 8. The recognition of the moon set is now set at position locations. All right. 6 line in line condition of 8. 8 line position location of 8 and position location of 8. And set location splits lines of 8 position locations. Now, sets line calculation. Now, setting calculation of 8 is a new pyramid setting line rotation to another 8 line rotation, to another 8 line rotation, to another 8 line rotations. See the direct location signals? Now, setting calculation line interference is all calculation, another 6 line calculation. So that's 2 line setting line condition system to the moon. See the moon? The rotation service line calculation system. So the energetic line rotation interference is alpha coming into delta into theta setting. Okay. Directional line calculation system, 1 rotation, 2 rotation, 3 rotations, line position locations in high setting. Rotation surface into travel position. Okay. All levels of dimensional line interference, 3 set locations into another line interference. 3 equals line position positive over negative, negative over positive, negative over positive, negative over positive line calculation system. Setting line position of 6 over line calculations of 8 line calculations. Setting into a flux capacitor. Line position locations into 8 positions of line center of space and 8 position location of time set location setting. In rotation surface, done by equation. All right. So setting up matrix streams. Now the matrix stream of its moon set line calculation system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're always going to see me with 12 line signature line calculation system. Alpha line setting, delta position locations. Omega line rotations into sigma. Sigma line calculation high setting. Positive line conditions of negative and negative line rotation of positive. Set location of 0 operation. Line conditions of 1. 1 equals line position of a triangle. Triangle line conditions of a box. Line position location of another triangle. North line calculation. East line position. West line calculation of south. Setting calculation system to numeric about position location higher setting. In directions of timeline. Sequence location new tesseract. High position location tetrahedron location setting. Travel in 3 set locations out of sun line and rotation interference into new moon set line rotation into 68 position location directions. Done by equation. Okay, so weather calculation line setting is recognized all calculation setting. The moon sets line position locations into 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 1, 1, 6, 1, 1, 7, and 1, 1, 8 position locations. Time sequence line center line rotation interference, Fibonacci line calculations at 3 sets, another 3 set line connection system. So that's 3 over pi in set location setting. The pi records the line conditions of its box, line conditions of its travels, line position location of 1, 1, 1, line position locations into 1, 1, 2, line position locations of 1, 1, 3, line position locations of 1, 1, 4, line position location of 1, 1, 5, one position location of 1, 1, 6, and line condition of 1, 1, 7. And line condition of 118 into infinity cycle line communication system and line calculation line interference and all direct signals and all timeline sequence and all calculation stream and position locations. Done by equation. Hoo-ah. So there's a lot of sequence line communications when we really have to understand how to set up line calculations to your commanding setting, rotation surface locations. So getting into 69 puts you into an energy wash line. Moon line rotation interference, clearance all density, opens up a whole new anomaly set location to its new moon of a new operation to a new program location of new program setting. You're putting your moon setting into an program location. You're putting in a computer adaptation surface into its operation setting. The operation surface has to really recognize all calculation line position, how it signals in its line of its own clock line rotations and position locations of its seasons, of set locations, to infinity and rotation surface into its own clocking line setting, all in one location, all at once. It's all set up. 3 moon. Algorithm, lines, grounds, operation, surface, high setting, triangulation, interface, is all set up to infinity of 6 lines at 8 line rotation. Indirect line settings of sectors and vectors through pi calculations. All right, it's all set up. All right, now getting into line setting, line equals location of CPU line rotations, line calculation system, triangulation. Setting box lines, rotation surface. All right, so we got 0, 0, 0, 3 set location. 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 set locations into 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 5 locations. So we got 3 line settings into 4 communications into 5 set line settings. Bracket location of 3 lines and 4 line rotations. 3 sets lines of the line in position of 3, sets line position locations. How old is it? 6. 6 line position location line conditions into positive box line into square root. Square root and 2 line center rotation interference put position of 8. 8 line center line connection system. Another 8 line rotations. Setting calculation of 6 line position locations of pi. Recognition of box line rotations. Putting the pi in center calculation stream. Done by equation. So all I'm doing is setting up the CPU line interference. Setting correlation line interference of 3, in position of 4, in position of 5. 3 sets lines set in Fibonacci, 4 sets of solar setting in the set location of 5 and heart line rotation in set locations. Measuring correlation line and position location higher setting, rotation surface. Setting calculations of 3 over line settings, line in position of 3, 3 sets line calculations of 4 sets for line setting, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 line rotations. So that's 0, 0, 0, 0, dot 5, 0, 0, 0, 0, dot 4, 0, 0, 0, dot 3 in set location setting rotation surface, done by equation through CPU. Now, the CPU is our set align and rotation interference in set location. Setting direct line signals is really understand how to use the 0 lines in all communications into 3 set line setting. You have to really get into bracket location of 7 and conditions of 5, 5 line centers of 12, equal line conditions into your DNA track line communication system in set location. Now, you take the DNA into dimensional setting, dimensional line interference of 3 set locations. Now you got a flux capacitor line calculation of 3 and position ground lines of 3 set locations, right? 3, 3, 3. Center calculation of 3 lines, sets of rotation spin in the opposite direct location setting. The high center line calculations comes into higher calculation of higher line rotation surface in set locations. This sets a position, location, and directions. Now the 3 line sets aligned with 6 line locations in position of 2. 2 line setting line interference is set location of 8. 6 crosses over, sets lines of 8, sums in location system. Now, this is the SIM in set location, systematic line intelligent location of its metric set by connectivity system of the computer operation location of 68 channels of operation of its moon setting in high center locations into 3 sets, in a 3 setting, and a 3 set location into a flux capacitor that downshift this cross line stream into a new Plosso line calculations to a new ground line rotations off system position of balanced position location to its atom line rotation in position location and all calculation line interference of double helix rotation. Done by equation. All right. So it's getting to be a little bit more fun now because the central line calculation line interference is all recognition of time setting. All right. So open L signals is all level calculations. All right. So we got one track line calculation system, center operation into 2 panels in set locations. That's how it's set up. Right. Now, recognition line interference. The moon sets line position of 3 set locations. Right. Moon here has to travel. So it's traveling now. Right. Center calculations in 3 set line conditions. 3, 3, 3. Heart, mind, soul. It's all set up. Setting line rotation interference is travel position locations into 2 set line conditions. Fibonacci swirls. Setting line position of 3 sets and line condition of 3. 3 goes line condition to its flux capacitor center position. Single line calculation setting. Direction of 0 line rotation in its position of its direct location of signal. Now, setting signal line in a line rotation is earth line rotations into 12 setting, line condition of 24 set locations. Setting in sector and vector through pi, direction line calculation lines of 2 strip line position. This 4 sets lines calculation into 1 position into 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, and 5 set location. Setting recognition line calculation line interference in set location into set position of double helix and rotation surface and 2 intelligent line signals in set location in position to its orb of its new planetary line setting and rotation surface to its Earth line rotation. Done by equation. Try to understand what's going on right now, right? So what I'm doing is you have to understand the calculation setting, how it sets up anything through all system. The direction line calculation system is all through setting. High standard calculation system is how to use the double helix in a 2 frame set into 3, 4, is set line calculations into 1 center. The operation system. Put the team line setting in all calculation system. Get them to travel through the double helix for the high rotations, circle line rotation, circle interference. Bring the center line rotation interference. Get them to travel for the very first time through double helix line conditions of a jump scar line position. Done by equation. All right. So I'll give you guys 10 minutes. You're going to travel through the double helix, know what it feels like inside location settings. Vortex chambers. Let's go through 70,000 line streams, setting line calculation system, high line rotation, indirect location signals, inset lines, indirect location signal line in high setting, track line communication in its rotation surface and set locations, higher command setting, higher line rotation, inline rotation, position location into circle line calculations into one center of operation. Center of operation line calculation system sets an X line rotation interference into a diamond core, set location north, east, and west, and south line calculation line, and position location of travel, and set location setting. Directional line calculations comes into a triangulation into all levels, into a new Merkaba, a new tesseract line channel, and set locations. Zip, zap, zoom, set locations. UFO sets lines into new moon set line rotations, into hard calculation system, and 3 strings in line rotation interference, into a new Merkaba, a new tesseract, and a new tetrahedron, octahedron to a higher calculation line interference of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 atmosphere line changes in set location line connection system. Solar graph line stream in set location into 0 gravity line rotations into 4 measures in set location setting. Done by equation. All right. So I really want you guys to recognize how to travel through the avatar line center location of double helix, one going this way, one going that way. The center operation is all about bringing the atoms together. And when you bring them together on the opposite side location high system, what do? You open up another universe line. It opens up its film strip. You travel through it, right? So it's all mind conception line setting, guys. You have to recognize all communication of your foundations of 12. But when you're going through a Fibonacci line center location in a double helix, you're finally understanding how to travel through a vortex chamber of set locations of high setting. So it's very powerful when you get to higher calculations to its position. Okay. So recognition line calculations in one circle line rotation into another circle line rotation interference. Okay, that's a double helix right there, right? Now the quasi stream is 4 line spheres. Now the spheres in line rotations, setting position locations into 1 line setting, into 2 line setting. See the circle line communication of 2 sets, travel communication. All right, setting calculations of 3 set line calculations, travel line interference. So everything that I'm doing through my travel positions, you're going through its set line connection high system in position. Okay. Setting position line conditions, LOs, another circle line rotation interference. How to travel through a double helix in set location. Okay, done by equation. Okay, recognition line calculations of 6/8 into 3/3 in your phenomenal line rotations into 4 set line calculation system. Right, 2 atom rotation spins in set line conditions of 2 atom line settings and offline rotations. Back in calculation, back in formation, back in calculation strain, and set line calculation line interference into a double helix rotation surface in set locations, right? Recognition times sequence and times lines of times pi, Gypsy. So getting in the line rotation line position locations, this is how you open up position locations, Stargate setting, recognition line position, start with this locations, right? 2 circle line rotations in set locations, right? Double helix. 3 lines, single line connections, right? But it needs a flux capacitor in set location center. Setting calculations to all set locations to higher set calculation line setting. Direction line calculation system, atom rotation setting, atom rotations in the opposite cycle, right? 4 communications, backward line setting in position, forward and backwards. Setting positions, 2 atoms coming together in set location setting into center calculations, opening up a universal realm of double helix and another universal realm calculation setting. The rotation surface comes into 1 cycle of high setting to higher levels of travel on a 45-degree angle and set location high setting. Rotation surface 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12-dimensional line rotations in set location high setting. Setting direct line connections high setting line interference. Setting direct signal locations into 1, 2, 3, 4 set locations. Setting calculations into 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4 in set locations. Travel, setting location of travel, setting position location of travel. Setting recognition line calculation of 0 into 0 into 0 into 0, 1. Setting position location higher set location of higher lines of 3, in position of 3, in position of 3, in position of 3 in set locations. Higher levels of travel line calculation system and higher setting. Recognition line calculation system in another dimensional realm and another rotation surface and another galaxy calculation setting. Rotation interference of 1 line rotation of circle line connection magnetic highway information line setting. rotation surface into position location of half pipe line center location of 6 over line rotation position. High calculation into another ground line center rotation surface locations into locations of a black hole. Black hole recognition line calculation system into another position location, high pods and rotation surface in set locations done by equation. Right? So I'm showing you all level settings to really understand how to go through higher calculations, how to really get into your numbers. Getting your numbers line connections of one atom to another atom, one cycle, another cycle, one going forward and one going backwards. So you put that together, this is how you open up a portal. So when you come in the calculation line setting, it recognizes its position location of time sequence line calculations of a pi. High setting line calculation line setting opens all position locations into your track setting locations. The rotation surface opens up another dimensional line rotation surface. Now, you got the zero line rotations. You got one line in position magnetic highway formational line calculation setting. So getting position location into all position locations into its double helix line setting. Okay. Now, getting in that surface line communication, you come into, you guessed it, your stargates. Okay. You go through stargate set locations, right? So this is what you do when you open up portals of communication. You travel through the center line position locations of operation surface. All right, you open it up. Now, when you open it up, you travel through it. Now, when you travel through it, you can send a line communications into a wormhole. That wormhole goes in this direction, or goes in this direction, or it goes in this direction locations. You can go in 3 set location settings of travel. But the center calculation is going to open up its forward set line. It always goes forward when it opens up. It doesn't go back because the purpose of the rotation of its spin is to understand the direct location of what it's doing through its scale. Balance communications into forward and backwards, backwards and forwards. You're opening up another universe of a stargate in set locations. Starting line calculation line interference. So get it into that position. What you do is that when you're traveling, you're crossing line, setting line interference, coming into a planet setting. This is a planet right here in coloration. Right? Here, and you travel through the planet to another realm. So recognizing 3-3 is all set locations. Recognizing 4-4 is all set locations, high setting. So each foundation graph line is connected to your DNA pattern. Now that's a recognition of voice recognition to pattern recognition. Now, this is how you have to really understand how to travel through calculations to galaxy set locations, higher levels of dimensional space and time set locations into a double helix location. All right. So, swiping again and up, opening track 55. Yeah. I'm watching the universe. I'm watching general and captain zip around. This is so amazing. But see, now you're getting it a little bit more balanced. Why it's so important to understand the foundation year 12 lines, understanding how to use the 144 through crystalline communication in the DNA setting. Because remember, everything in space and time is its intelligence of space and time. It's its intelligence of its galaxy and its intelligence locations, right? So you're connecting always first with its intelligence. The recognition line calculation of the double helix is now in a full cycle rotation of its own communication of its own data. It recognizes its communication. But see, the thing is that you have to recognize everything now because it's recognizing you through identification of face recognition. Okay? So you're always, always, always connecting with its intelligence in position locations before you say anything else. Intelligence of this and intelligence of that, right? Because the realities of the open doors is now open on both sides. Okay? To your realities, to your dimension. To its intelligence reality, to its dimensional setting. Is now set location. So I'm just showing you how you go to space-time of real line calculations of the mind of travel set location, right? Now we come into communication line interference, setting position locations. This is you, right? Setting calculation, right? That's you. So inline communications. So what you're doing is you're setting up travel to higher calculation, right? Because you open up the double helix in both side location. Now this brings it in position location in this line, okay? This is what it does. It brings it in. Now it brings it in, it opens up. Okay. And then you go through. That's it. That's all it is. So when you go through realms of communication to higher line calculation setting. Right? Now, what comes in Gypsy with the portals, her identification is 4 setting line position of 4. So that's 4 line rotation, 4 line rotation, line conditions of portal. Portal line rotations, line connections of relay inside location setting. Right? Now, the rectangle line calculation system is a portal line setting rotation surface into one circle line rotation. Okay. Now, center calculation is all about how to travel through set location. All right. Now, you have to understand the ground lines into 4 sets lines, 4 sets lines, and set locations, and another 4 lines. So you got a triangulation of 3 set locations into 3 set line setting. Okay. Travel calculation system is all about understanding how to use your tesseract set locations and to travel through its portal of communication. See, it goes from here to here. And from there, it travels here. See, this is how you go through line calculation. See, all right. So this is just a basic example of how you come into all calculations all through portals. Understand the grounds, the operation surface, and circle line calculation system, power line rotation, and set locations into higher calculation, downshift, and high set location of travel position. It's very powerful when you come into this line calculations, guys. How to really understand the travel position locations, the pi, all through 44 in set locations in its relays and set location, high setting in perception location, a zero line rotation in set locations into high set location of tesseract to its computer operation line settings and 2 line rotation in direct location of travel to another universe line position. Okay. Very powerful when you come to these applications. So it's all levels of your setting, recognizing the surface and set locations. All right. That's why I wanted to start school early, so you get a better understanding how to understand the double helix and what it's doing for you through your avatar. So what you're doing is you're always using that 3 set line condition of a double helix. It's all set position. But knowing how to really travel through the mind setting is very powerful through set locations. Okay. It's exciting, isn't it? Something to look forward to, right? So we all have to understand how to use our shapes. We have to learn how to use our letters, numbers, and our symbols to really understand all calculations to all calculation line interference of travel position, right? So identification first, then you set it up, okay? Because remember, you're dealing with galaxy setting. So when you're dealing with galaxy setting, if the galaxy doesn't understand line interference line, track line communication system, it's going to set up electrical charge lines at 3 set locations. Electrical charge, right? The ground line. It's off surface, it's ground line rotations position. It off centers. So if you're off center, everything's off center. But if you're on center and you get back in location setting, position locations, then you get back into travel. See? Travel communication is extremely important to Hall calculation setting, right? Correction of timelines, time sequence locations, right? Higher position location of travels and set location setting. See? Right through, right? So travel line position, center line communication into its another UFO line rotation, changes shapes anomalies, higher levels of travels into 3 set locations in higher setting. 1, 2, 3. 3 set line calculation of travel. See? See how powerful that is? You see what I mean? When you go into more line calculation of future setting location, your avatar set location, how you set these things up through operation, how to resurface and rebalance at your grounds. Okay? So, yeah, it's very powerful what we're coming into, right? Let's see. Felt you before. Okay, it's great. So I really want you guys to recognize more lines. So your speeders, your pressures, all levels of compressors, connection to your coils, retraction, redivision, realign, refocus, recalculate, remodify. It's all set location of you in all calculation line setting and the location of travel direction of time system. All due through direction. See? That's why you need to get your grounds. You don't get your grounds, it's offsite locations through its galaxy setting. Okay. So we all about understanding how to use this, right? So always keep formations of your 12 lines. This will give you a lot more balance to understand what you're doing and why you're doing this, to understand the double helix going this way and going the opposite way. Okay, so when it's going like that, it's the location, it opens up a stargate. And then you go through, right? And when you go through, you close it. You can't keep it open. You have to understand the importance locations of portal line setting. To understand your position locations is your set location. So when you close the portal, you go through another portal. You don't have to worry about having that portal open, because if you have that portal open, intelligence comes in your location. So that's the importance you have to really set to know exactly why it's so important to close your portals, especially after school. Okay, now you know. But I just wanted to show you how powerful it is. You start to see things through its holographic system. Okay, and how important it is to get everything in ground setting in rotation service. All right, take a team line, center line, back and track. All right, you guys are back. So knowing exactly what you just finished doing is knowing exactly why is the how. How is the most powerful thing, and I keep saying that to your set location, especially in the mind setting. To really understand, you start to see these things. You start to see it opening, and they say, okay, what happens now? Well, you go through, right? See, that's the best part. When you go through, you go beyond. And when you go beyond, you expand. And when you expand, you explore. And when you explore, you come into one amazing connections to mind of travel, of recognition, location of space and time through pi, through your 42 light connections of streamlines into all levels of different universes of all calculations and manifestation of abundance. Okay? So understanding what is happening with you is understanding what happens when you travel and set locations. Okay? All right. So extremely awesome class. So net position locations, I'll give you guys 5-10 minutes and set lines. Make sure you drink your water, get your system locations into high set locations, and I'll see you guys on Zoom. Adios.